Start by just introducing yourself for the rest of our class to know just who you are then.
Okay, my name is Tiina Harris, and I'm the Community Services Manager for Arts and Culture. Community Services is a division within the city of Marquette, which includes senior services and parks and recreation. Most people know me just as Arts and Culture Director.
Uh-huh. Okay. So what we're investigating is a bit of how the arts and culture can be have a bigger presence in Marquette, maybe to artists, to the community, and it seems like that is exactly what you guys are doing. So we wanted to take a look at seeing where Marquette is, and just kind of recording and researching what is out there right now, and make it available for other people who don't know what it is about. So can you tell us a little bit about some of the events that have happened, or actually, I guess, because I know you are. This is your second year in this
I'm
position?
going into my I'm 6 months into my second year.
Right. So can you kind of tell us, I guess, what are some changes that you've brought about to the MACC?
Well, the first year was spent really observing,
Mm-hmm.
and we're an art center, but we're located in a lower level of a library, so we don't really have a lot of visible, we don't get a lot of, we're not a destination necessarily,
Mm-hmm.
and um, and so that was interesting to see how just the physical location of this art center, what that was like, and how people came to find out about us. And then we're also a city division that's supporting arts and culture in Marquette, in the city in general.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got two things really going.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first started, one of the changes that I recommended and helped to facilitate was we used to have a gift shop here.
Mm-hmm.
But when the art center opened, wow, almost 13 years ago,
Wow.
there was a need for that
Uh-huh.
gift shop. There weren't a lot of places where you could buy local art, so it was a real need. And of course, in 13 years, things have really changed.
I say I even know a ton of local art. I live right by 0 Degrees, so
Yeah, Zero
yeah.
Degrees. Beth Milner, local jeweler, just opened up a business. There's a ceramic studio by the co-op. So artists are, very business savvy. They're selling their things on their own websites, on Etsy.
Mm-hmm.
And so the store wasn't really doing what it needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we really put it to the community, what would you like to see in it? And what we came up with was a multi-purpose educational space that we're calling the Small Works Gallery. So an additional gallery space where people can show their work and also sell it. So that was a big thing because any change is hard.
Right.
And you have to take it in increments.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing was trying to do larger scale performances or community events. And I think that large scale community events are important to attracting people to your area,
Exactly.
getting lots of different people involved, but getting just regular people involved. Not everyone buys season tickets to the theater or the symphony.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for a community art center, it's very different than a private gallery.
Mm-hmm.
One of our jobs is to reach out to the community.
Mm-hmm.
So when I used to live in Chicago, one of the things that really inspired me was Red Moon Puppet Theater. And they put on this really large Halloween spectacle. They had another name for it, I believe, but a lot of cities do it. It wasn't so original to Chicago. Just almost like a large pageant of puppetry and theater and dance. And it was always so inspiring to me, so I thought, if I ever have the opportunity when I live in the UP, I would love to try to facilitate something like that. And
right.
Who would have guessed I'd be in this position and be able to do that?
Mm-hmm.
And we did that last year. It was very successful, and we're going to do it again this year, but it was wonderful to see so many people just out and participating.
Mm-hmm.
We've also done a living statue program where we had living statues this summer on the streets, the downtown street, which was great because it brought people downtown into the shops.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a way for people, again, to see art.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people thought they were really real statues until they realized.
Started moving, yeah.
A little bit, yeah. So, so large scale community events like that I think are important. And then broadening our demographic. So another thing that we've done is really focused on teens and seniors.
Mm-hmm.
The Art Center's changed a lot. Prior to my being here, there was a very successful youth theater that started here.
Mm-hmm.
And that changed when the former director left, and now she runs. It's an independent nonprofit, very, very successful. But what's next? What's going to fill that space? And there were a lot of kids here, but I thought, well, you know what about the teens? And so we do a high school art show now, so giving teens an
Nice.
opportunity to show their work. And we have a teen cafe where we invite teenagers to come over after school and just hang out at the art center.
Hmm.
And we're finding new ways to cultivate teens to be here, teen art classes,
Hmm.
and also inviting teens to take the adult classes. You
Hmm.
know, there's no reason a teen can't sit in an adult drawing class.
Right.
So that's another thing. And then senior arts, we've really broadened our senior arts, which in Marquette's only 55 plus, and offering free courses to seniors by professional artists. So they get a taste of something, and then maybe they want to sign up for it or develop the creative habit
Hmm.
for themselves. So broadening demographic, you know, reaching out to larger segments of the community via big programs, which involves a lot of partnering, which is critical. Right. And kind of changing up the space a little bit. So those are some of the major initiatives that we've taken.
Nice. How has it been received to the community with all of these changes going on? And like with the Halloween spectacle.
It was
and
difficult.
all this.
It was difficult. They all, you know, not so many people know that we're the ones that are helping to facilitate these things.
Right.
So they love those events. But I think I think change is slow in a smaller community, especially for an art community.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's taken this long for people to kind of warm up to the shifts and the changes and the new faces and the new teachers and we've really been building up our identity of, you know, who we are and kind of reinventing ourselves a little bit, some of the old and some of the new. So I think in general, though, people are excited. I know when this art center was first designed, it really is set up as a visual art space. You know, unfortunately, we don't have private piano rooms and all these types of things here. So I think some of the visual artists are excited that we're doing a really kind of lifting in it, bringing that programming to another level again. Because I think it's important that people know what to expect from us. They should know that at my local art center, I can learn about drawing and painting and composition and color. And there's some basic things you should be able to learn without signing up for, you know,
like a
university class. Yeah. And then now that we've got that, we can continue to expand. And, you know, as far as the next step, we're really leaving that up to the community. The city gives so much resources towards arts. But, you know, is the art center the best place for the city to spend its resources? Maybe there's something else. Or as far as programming, you know, what kind of programming would the community like to see? And, you know, how can we help the arts and culture organizations that exist out there as a city? So we're undergoing a 10-year arts and culture master plan for the city of Marquette and hiring consultants from out of town, which is very important because you don't want people in the community running such a precious thing like that. You really want an objective outsider to kind of help facilitate all those conversations.
Without any biases or anything.
Right, without any biases. It's very important. And that's going to be starting up shortly, and that will really set the stage and the direction for arts and culture in Marquette and the city's role and responsibilities in regards to arts and culture.
How do you personally see that going? I mean, I know that this is like still coming, but like I guess what would you like to see as like a broad final outcome from this master plan? And
that's hard because what I really respect about working for municipality, it's very different than working for a private museum, which that's all of my experience.
Right.
And it really, I'm trying to take myself out of that and step back and be the facilitator. I mean, it's great to have things like Halloween spectacles, and there's a lot of interest. And I can recommend those types of things, but I really need to hear from the community what they want. What I really hope is that the plan can shed light on the economic impact arts brings to our community in really just in numbers. You know, this is what we actually offer, not just in words.
Right.
And I really hope that it allows for people to identify their common needs as arts and culture organizations and for the organizations to work together. You know, I think there's a lot of common needs. I hear people saying, our organization would like this and our organization needs this, and to come to the table and maybe start partnering more and sharing some of those resources. So, you know, that's one of those things. And then also I really hope that if anything, the plan extends to the community and continues to I guess, encourage the community to develop their creativity and get involved in the arts. Sometimes we tend to focus on the artists themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and I think reaching out to the people in our community who we serve and who are buying the art and seeing the art to involve them
Mm-hmm.
as well.
No, and I think that's a really good goal to be working towards as well. What would you say has been the most difficult part about reaching that goal, or what can you foresee as being one of the biggest difficulties when trying to get art out there more? I
Well,
know that is a big question, so.
I don't know. I mean, you know, we all work in our offices, and so much of this is getting to know the community. And I've been in this job only a year and a half,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm still getting to know this community. And it's also about trust and people being willing to open up and work with you and discuss their dreams with you, and that all takes time to build those relationships. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's been the most difficult part, because I want to dive in, but those
Right.
relationships happen slowly. And it's also the best part, because I'm getting to know all of these different groups and starting to have a sense for what the arts and culture here in Marquette is. And I think that the most challenging part will be getting people to really see beyond their own agenda and see the big picture, which I think is hard for anybody, right? It's the
Right.
biggest challenge in life is to work together,
Mm-hmm.
and we all have such strong needs, which is great. But how can we lift each other up? And I think not everybody's going to get what they want, but if we all can get a little bit of something we want,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think that will be successful.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I totally agree. Can you talk about a little bit of like when you're saying that you're trying to find out what the community wants? What are some of the research methods and tactics that you're doing to um, gather the public opinion?
Well, the consultants we've hired, Christine Harris of Christine Harris Connections, Creative Connections out of Milwaukee, and then Thomas Borup out of Minneapolis, and he's
Mm-hmm.
Creative Community Builders. They have really specific ways they approach the community to get this kind of information.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, we're just starting to identify who are the major players in arts and culture in Marquette. And we know we have the theater companies, the symphony, um, NMU Art and Design, Forrest Roberts Theater, uh, Blues Society, then there's the myriad of art associations, and so we really need to list those. And even the smaller people that aren't nonprofits, clubs,
Right.
things like that, and individual artists. The individual artists are the hardest ones, though, because they don't necessarily can't look them up in the yellow pages or on the phone. Who
Right.
are all the individual artists and where do they live?
Right.
So it's kind of gathering these groups, finding out, how do we put together a steering committee of 25. That will be very, very important, and
Mm-hmm.
that can't just include those organizations. It has to include creative business, philanthropy, a real wide sector, because it all fits together. It's business, tourism, artists, to make this whole wheel go round. Once the steering committee is in place, we'll begin to reach out to all these groups, and there'll be lots of one-on-one interviews, which is really important to the consultants to get one-on-one interviews, collect cultural data projects, annual reports, attendance records, articles from the media, if it's
Mm-hmm.
radio or print. Newspaper, to kind of learn about the history of what's been happening in this community, what's come prior.
Mm-hmm.
And there'll also be a lot of collecting of our cultural assets, if it's a heritage trail or a park or a gallery or museum. So cultural assets, the people part, the numbers, the economic, the numbers of the cultural dollars and where they come from and where they go. All this information has to be brought together,
Mm-hmm.
and then there'll be two community public meetings, where they will facilitate these focus groups and really try to get people to think about their needs and things that they would like to happen, and kind of that strategic planning. And I think there'll be a lot of sorting out these things and
Mm-hmm.
seeing, okay, what's the most important here.
Right. Like, what is the most overarching need? out
Yeah.
there or something.
So they'll hopefully come down to 4 to 5 topic areas that, we need to focus on education, or we need to focus on public art, or we need to focus on promotion of other. They'll have to decide on some focus areas and then begin to really support those with some strategic planning and.
Kind of see, and then just see where those goes within the next 10 years and with the
Yeah.
development of the plan.
Because things change so fast. So
Right.
actually, it's more 4 to 5 years, even though we say 10-year master plan, but it needs to be reassessed, just like the
Right.
city needs to reassess their planning because things change so fast.
Mm-hmm.
When 9 years ago or 10 years ago, I didn't use the internet at my job that frequently.
And now it's a
totally
daily
different.
part.
So
Yep.
we don't know what it's going to be like in 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
A lot
I don't know,
can
it's going to be like an
change.
A here.
Yeah.
Hopefully a little bit of a better idea, though. So,
Yeah.
all right, cool. Well, it sounds like there's a lot of good research and a lot of good stuff that's going to be going into this to really help the arts become much more accessible to people on there. And so it's really great for our research. I think that's the main questions that in investigation research that I wanted to find. Was there anything else that you wanted to add to like the whole getting art into the community more?
Well, I think it's important for, student groups like yours and other organizations just to get active and to talk to each other. I think it's great if we start talking to each other and getting out there and seeing what we have and seeing what's available, So I encourage that conversation and that curiosity and that inquiry that your group is doing. And as far as getting the arts out there more, I mean, we have to let everyone know what it is first. Right. And, hopefully more businesses will carry local art. People will be more receptive to artist studios moving into their neighborhoods, to understand that cultural dollars is a big part of why people come to Marquette and live here. And if they can see that and see how it works, then maybe they can find ways to help make it happen and facilitate it. So educating people on why it's a positive thing. And not only for economics, but just for life. I mean, the art is good for the soul.
Right.
So for that reason alone, it's worth undertaking.
Wonderful. Wonderfully said.
Thank
All
you.
right. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and we will have this interview posted shortly.
Okay, thank you.